Greetings. Here are 5 songs that you might have fun with at a open mic or a coffee shop. Boy Named Sue and One Piece at a Time by Johnny Cash. Bad Bad Leroy Brown by Jim Croce. Devil Baby by Mark Knopfler. And the grand finale, Blue Cyclone by Ray Stevens. Enjoy and have fun.
My daddy left home when I was 3, didn't leave much to mod me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. I don't blame him because he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought it was quite a joke, got a lot of laughs from lots of folks. Seems like I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head, and I'd tell you life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hired, my wits got keen. I'd roam from town to town to hide my shame. But I made a vow to the moon and stars that I'd search those honky-tonks and bars, and I'd kill that man that gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I just hit town, my throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at a table dealing to stud, sat the dirty manger dog that named me Sue. Well, I know that snake was my old sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. But it was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die." Well, I hit him right hard between the eyes. He went down, but to my surprise, he came up with a knife and he cut off a piece of my ear. Busted a chair across his teeth, and we crashed into the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the bud and the gear. Well, I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. Well, I heard him laugh and I heard him cuss. He went for his gun and I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me, and then I saw him smile. Said, "Son, this world is rough. Man's gotta make it, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I gave you that name and I said goodbye. I told you you'd get tough or die, and that's the name that I have that helped to make you strong. He said, "Now I know you fought one hell of a fight. I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your gut and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the son of a bitch that named you Sue." Ha ha! Well, I got all choked up and I threw down my gun. And I called him my pa and he called me his son. I came away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George, anything but Sue. I hate that name. Left Kentucky back in '49. I went to Detroit working on assembly line. The first year they had me putting wheels on a Cadillac. Every day I'd watch them beauties roll by, and sometimes I'd hang my head and cry, 'cause I always wanted one that was long and black. So one day I devised myself a plan that should be the end of most any man. I'd sneak it out of there in a lunchbox in my hand. Now getting caught meant getting fired, but I figured I'd have it all the time I retired. I'd have me a car at least worth $100 grand. I get one piece at a time, it wouldn't cost me a dime. You'll know it's me when I come through your town. Gonna ride around in style, gonna drive everybody wild, 'cause I only have that on around. So the very next next day when I punched in with my butt stuck in with the help from a friend, I left that day with a lunchbox full of gears. Well, I never considered myself a thief. GM wouldn't miss just one little piece, especially if I strung it out over several years. The first day I got me a fuel pump, and the next day I got me an engine and a trunk, and then I got me a transmission and all that chrome. The little things I could get out in my big lunchbox, like those and that, all four shocks, but the big stuff I snuck out in my buddy Pomo home. Now I'm not a fan when all went right. Tried to put it all together one night, and that's when we noticed that something was definitely wrong. The engineer was a 53, it turned out to be a 73. When we tried to put in the bolts, all the holes were gone. So we drilled it out so that it would fit, and with a little bit of help from an adapter kit, we had that running just like a song. Back now, the headlights was another sight. We had a 2 on the left and 1 on the right. We pulled out the switch and all the thriller came on. Back end looked kind of funny too. We put it together when we got through. That's when we noticed we had only one tail fin. About that time my wife walked in and said I could take her eyes, and she said her doubts, but she happened and said, "Honey, can you take me for a spin?" So we drove uptown just to get the tags. We headed right on the down main drag. Could hear everybody laughing for blocks around. Up there at the courthouse, they didn't laugh because no to type it up took a whole staff. And when they got the title, the title weighed 60 pounds. Got it one piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. You'll know it's me when I come through your town. Yeah, I'm gonna ride around in style, gonna drive everybody wild, 'cause I'll have the only one there is around. Well, it's a 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 57, 58, 59 automobile. Well, it's a 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 9, 69, 70 automobile. One piece at a time. Well, the south side of Chicago is the baddest part of town. If you go down there, you better just beware of a man named Leroy Brown. Now me, Roy, more than trouble. You know, we stand about 6'4". All the downtown ladies call him treetop lover, and the men just call him sir. He was a bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Now Leroy, he a gambler, and he likes his fancy clothes. He liked to wave his buttons on in everybody's nose. He got a custom Continental, he got an Eldorado too. He got a 32 gun in his pocket for fun, and a razor in his shoe. Yeah, he's a bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, and meaner than a junkyard dog. Well, Friday, about a week ago, Leroy shooting dice, and at the edge of the bar sat a girl named Doris, and ooh, that girl looked nice. Well, he cast his eyes upon her, and the trouble soon began. Oh, Leroy Brown, he learned a lesson about messing with the wife of a jealous man. Well, he's a bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Well, the two men took to fighting when they pulled them from the floor. Leroy looked like a jigsaw puzzle with a couple of pieces gone. But he's a bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Jim Croce. Freaks that stay together, they're a tight old crew. You look at them and they look at you. I love the ballyhoo girl, but she don't care. It's hard to find love anywhere. Hard to find love anywhere. The professor is a talker, he's a talking man. If he can't clean the midway, nobody can. He'll get the tip on in from the midway mud. You gotta have the sawdust in your blood. Yeah, you gotta have the sawdust in your blood. See the pig-faced man and the monkey girl. Come see the big fat lady. Get her slim with the alligator skin. Come see the devil, baby. Well, Springer is a talker, he's a talking man. Got the whole studio eating out of his hand. You can be on too with the nuts and the freaks. Call 1-800-I-AM-A-FREAK. Yeah, the pig-faced man or the monkey girl. Come be the big fat lady. Get her slim with the alligator skin. Come see the devil, baby. Mark Knopfler. I'm rehearsing songs for tonight. This one's called The Blue Cyclone by Ray Stevens. Blue Cyclone. Well, my wife went out of town about a year or so back, and I felt me at home myself, the batch, and after 5 straight nights of TV, I was ready to scream. So I called up this beer-drinking buddy of mine. He said, Bill, I ain't having a very good time. He said, why not we go to the wrestling match and let off a little steam? Well, I'd never seen the matches before, but by the time we reached that arena door, the crowd was already backed up plumb out into the street. Yeah, people were shoving and fighting like cattle. Would just get in line was a heck of a battle. We had to fight like the devil, but we finally got ringside seats. Well, he bought me a program as we threw through the door, went to section D seats 3 and 4, and about that time the announcer stepped into the ring. He said, tonight's the greatest card we've ever been signed. We got a big damn like blew your mind. When they let the lights out, the crowd began to scream. He introduced a spider from parts unknown with his trusty partner, the Blue Cyclone. They were talking like a team that ever been beat. Then the wreck checked him over and the duels were explained, and somebody hollered, the spider's got a chain, and some old lady with blue hair fell right out of her seat. Well, they rang the bell and all hell broke loose. My legs was shaking like a rubber goose. I'd never seen anything like this, not even in the war. The cyclone put the vulture in a hairplane spin, then he body slammed him, and then he did it again. And I swear I don't see how that old boy could take much more. It was right about then, in the thick of things, that my buddy Bill threw a chair in the ring, and I knew he'd better be heading for the door. Because I saw the cyclone looking at us. He was rubbing his head, and he was starting to cuss, and I knew if he caught us, he'd break Bill's neck for sure. There's a verse, Mercer, and I'll go find it. Locked the doors, and there wasn't much to let him in. I turned around and the cyclone was there. He said, hey, punk, you forgot your chair. And by the look in his eyes, I knew this was the end. Then he bobbed me, slammed me 2 or 3 times. He put his arms around me from behind, and then he piled drive me right in there in the hard concrete. He broke both my arms and 3 of my ribs. It's the closest thing I've ever come to being killed, and that's the thing I remember before he put me to sleep. Ooh, blue cyclone. Well, he's the meanest rascal this ring has ever known. He'll make you groan, he'll make you moan, he'll lay you prone and bake your bones. Blue Cyclone. Well, I woke up in a hospital bed, stars are circling around my head, and a plaster cast on just about every bone. But the doctor said I'd do fine. Things would just take a little time, and 3 weeks later he let me go back home. I laid in bed for 3 weeks just thinking, I believe I gotta go take a bite and drink it, so the next time we meet I won't be on a binge. Cause I'd been the best that we had fight, and I'd seen that cyclone dreams that night. I won't be satisfied till I get revenge. Oh, well, the first thing my wife said when I got home was, you better leave that cyclone alone. She said, you might not be so lucky next time. So I says to her, beg your pardon, ma'am, but it wasn't you who got the body slammed. Then I changed the subject because I didn't want to make him up mind. Then I called up Bill and I told him my plan. All he says was, right on, man, I'll do the same darn thing if it be me. It all happened so quick when the car door slammed. I must have broke something because the door lock's jammed. I was already down, got time, I got free. Bill said, since you're thinking about taking him again, I know two of us boys who weigh 210. They'd wade right through hell just to fight a certain song. They both lift weights, so you know they're mean, and the four of us would make quite a team. We might not win, but we'd sure put up a good fight. Well, we looked it all over, then we said we was willing. They stopped at nothing short of killing. Said, Hoss, we'll be back for you as long as you want to fight. So I checked around at a few of the bars, and I found out where all the wrestling stars hung out after the matches every Wednesday night. Well, I got there early the following week, and I found me a table where I could see the street, and I waited for the Blue Cyclone to hit the door. Well, after a while, he finally appeared. He sat down at the bar and ordered a beer, and he barely took a sip before I stepped to the middle of the floor. I yelled, hey, Cyclone, you remember me? I'm the guy you put to sleep. Only this time you can see I'm not alone. Ha, ha. You see them two big dudes over there? The Cyclone looked and said, over where? And I turned around and I'm a son of a gun. They was gone. Then the Cyclone looked at me and grinned. He said, okay, punk, here we go again. It seems to me that some guys never learn. Then he waded through them tables and chairs, put a full Nelson on me and grabbed my hair. And then he threw me on the floor and I was starting to get concerned. Then it came a barrage of judo chops. I was begging somebody to call the cops before Cyclone could commit a mortal crime. I breathed a sigh of relief when I heard them ambulance signs scream, because I'd be dead now if they hadn't got there in time. The next thing I remember, they was carrying me in, and the doctor said, oh no, you again. And the doctor said, how long will it be this time? He said, boy, if you don't leave that Cyclone alone, one of these days you ain't going home. You'll need the undertaker's service, not mine. Blue Cyclone, Blue Cyclone. He's the meanest rascal the ring had ever known. He'll make you groan, he'll make you moan, he'll lay you prone and break your bones. Blue Cyclone, Blue Cyclone.